Hello, everyone, back tuning in to this evening's video. We're going to have a look at El Nino this evening. This is the February update for El Nino and for ENSO. So we're going to see what's happened over the past month since we did the first update of 2016 back in January. We'll see how things have developed over the past month, whether weakening of the El Nino event has taken place. You'd expect it to, of course. We reached a peak of El Nino back at the end of last year. I expect it to be weakening now. We'll also have a look at some long-range models to see what they are predicting to happen in the ENSO region through the rest of 2016. Will we just drop back from El Nino into ENSO neutral? Will we flip from a warm to a cold event during the summer and start to get La Nina developing? We'll have a look and see what the latest ideas from the models are in a moment. But before I get on with that, just to say about the ads. So there's links to articles on all the pages that guys always have a browse through widgets and click through the links if there's any articles that you're interested in. And thanks very much for doing that. There's also video ads on most pages. They open up the content when you watch them. They'll close back if you don't have to pay for our website. And there's also ads from Amazon that I'm just trying out at the moment. You don't need to do anything with them. You don't need to do any shopping with them. It's not like the Gas Shop idea. Gas Shop is still there. If you want to do shopping at Amazon, go through the Amazon banners in Gas Shop. But these ads from Amazon on all of the other pages that Gas Shop is, they're just display and pay-per-click ads. So it just means that we get a revenue feed by you seeing them and clicking them. That's all you have to do with those. Actually, don't have to go off and buy anything to get involved with those ones. So I'm going to start off with the for the El Nino update, the ENSO update for February. I'm going to start off with the cold and warm episodes by season chart. We've been looking at this a lot over the past few months. The years go right back to 1950 with this chart. This is from NOAA, by the way. So we can go back to 1950 with these El Ninos and La Nina events. You see it in 1950 it was actually a La Nina, a cold event going on. It lasted throughout the whole of the year. The first El Nino event, indicated by red numbers in the boxes, red coloured numbers, was in 1953. This just here. So we can go right way down to the present day. Let's scroll all the way down to the bottom of the chart, which is 2015. Haven't got 2016 up yet, but it'll be appearing very soon. So we've got 2015 just here, and El Nino, as I say, is indicated by these red numbers in the boxes. To get an El Nino designated, you have to go above 0.5 degrees Celsius in terms of the temperature anomaly over 5 tri-monthly periods. We did that in the early part and the middle part of 2015. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 quite comfortably. By the end of the summer, we was in an El Nino. And you notice that as we're going along, these numbers are just picking up, indicating the increasing strength of the El Nino event. So, for example, this fifth number that got us to a designated El Nino, that was just 1.2. The next month was 1.5, and then the next month was 1.8, and so on into a very strong El Nino event. So the last tri-monthly period was November, December, January, and it's this one just here with a number coming out at 2.3. This is updated from what I was looking at last month. Last month we was looking at this number, 2.2. So the final tri-monthly period of 2015 came out with an anomaly of 2.3 Celsius. That is Super Nino territory. This has been an exceptional and an awesome El Nino event. When was the last time we had an El Nino event this strong? It's actually just here, the year 1997 and into 1998. And what happened in 2015, that last tri-monthly period, what happened here with this number 2.3 Celsius is that we equaled 97-98. 97-98 is the record El Nino event. There hasn't been, in recorded history, and probably going further back, there has been only stronger than this, but in recorded history, there has not been an El Nino stronger than 97-98. And in the final tri-monthly period of 2015, we did equal this final tri-monthly period of 1997, both years for this tri-monthly period coming out at 2.3. Now, what happened in 1998 going forwards is that we had a very high number for the first tri-monthly period of 1998, just there, 2.1. A little bit weaker than the final one of 97, but nevertheless still very strong. And then very gradually through the end of the winter and into the spring 1998, we just reduced the El Nino. It was quite a gradual process, but by the time we got into the summer months, which is just here, then we started to move very rapidly into a La Nina, into a cold event. You can see that by these blue numbers appearing, and that La Nina went on for a long time, actually. Went on through 1999, 2000, finally finished with us at the start of 2001. Generally, when you come out of these La Ninas, you get a colder winter, but whilst you're in a La Nina, if it's a strong one anyway, not if it's a weak one, but if it's a strong one, strong La Nina, generally you have a mild winter, but then at the end of it, and we have this here for 2000, 2001, at the end of a La Nina, we tend to get a colder winter coming through. Anyway, I'm off on a tangent with that, and I'll be discussing that much more once getting to the second half of the year and do winter updates, of course. But coming back to what might happen for this year, for 2016, if we carry on following 1997, 1998 El Nino, then we can expect El Nino to continue through the first 4 or 5 months of the year, and then flip quite quickly in the summer into a La Nina. We'll have a look at some models, see what they're showing in a second. So let's just have a look at the sea surface temperature anomalies across the world right now. So this is the chart that we used from NOAA in the last update on the 28th of January. And of course, this is El Nino. This is what we're talking about, this red and orange area just here through the equatorial part of the Pacific Ocean, from Peru just here to Indonesia over here. When you get this warm water rising up, or warm temperature anomalies rising up through the equatorial part of the Pacific Ocean, that is the signature for El Nino. That's how things looked in the equatorial Pacific Ocean last month, when we did the El Nino update last month. Let's see how things have developed over the past month, and this is the latest one generated on the 25th of February. So quite clearly, weakening has taken place through all ENSO regions. Again, this is the situation back in January. This is the situation now. You can see that quite clearly weakening of this El Nino event has taken place during the past month. And you would expect that to be the case. You would expect us to be declining out of El Nino now, starting to move back, not to a cold event particularly, but starting to move back at the very least towards ENSO neutral. Notice how we've cooled in the northern Pacific Ocean up here during the past month. So that situation in January, this situation now, and a rapid cooling has taken place up there during the past month. So quite clearly things are turning cold in the northern part of the Pacific Ocean, where it's been pretty warm over the past couple of years. Things turning cold up there. This isn't necessarily a precursor to La Nina, but and a cold event, but it is telling us that the Pacific is starting to shift now. It's starting to move into a colder phase. What I look for to be a precursor to La Nina is to start generating cold sea surface temperature anomalies in this area just here, particularly off the coast of Chile. Chile, of course, if you don't know your South American geography, Chile is just there. Let's again see how things looking in this part of the Pacific Ocean last month. That situation last month. This is the situation now. I think we are beginning to cool the waters down here. It's not a rapid cool down by any means, but I think this area is generally starting to turn a bit colder. We've got to watch out for this. This is often a precursor to La Nina, to a cold event. If we start to generate some big cold temperature anomalies just here, then that will start to put the El Nino under pressure, and especially if we can start to generate cold temperature anomalies just here as well. From both sides, a pincer movement can occur that really starts to put the El Nino under pressure. It just collapses in the end, and we start to get cold, a cold event beginning to set up. I say not a great deal of evidence for that at this stage, but let's keep an eye on it. It's still pretty early days. Let's see where things are looking next month and into April. Just have a look at the SOI, the Southern Oscillation Index. I haven't looked at this for a little while, but quite interesting what's going on. The Southern Oscillation Index is an index that's reflecting the state of the atmosphere in the southern Pacific Ocean, from Darwin over here to Tahiti over here. When the SOI is negative, the atmosphere is reflecting El Nino. When the SOI, the Southern Oscillation Index, is positive, telling us that the atmosphere is reflecting La Nina. To get these El Nino and La Nina events, you need the oceans and the atmosphere to hook up. They've got to couple up. And when that happens, that generates these events. So we'll start off at the beginning of February and notice, well, at the end of January we had a pretty negative number, -11, so the SOI was pretty negative then at the end of January, telling us that the atmosphere was still in an El Nino state. We went inside of February and we started to get some quite positive numbers beginning to come through. So, for example, on the 3rd of February, +8, and then on the 11th of February, +9. So this is beginning to show the atmosphere starting to go a little bit more towards a La Nina event, and that would begin, or it would help to weaken the El Nino. However, if we scroll down to the latest numbers, very interesting, quite unusually for so late in the event, we are getting some very negative SOI numbers again. So, for example, the 15th of February comes out at -28, the 16th of February comes out at -38, the 17th of February comes out at -40. These are extreme negative numbers for so late in this El Nino event, and this is telling us that the atmosphere is still very much in the Pacific, in the southern Pacific. The atmosphere between Darwin and Tahiti still very much in a reflective state for this El Nino. And coming down to the latest numbers, the 22nd of February, look at this, -50. That's the kind of thing you would expect when the La Nina when the El Nino, I should say, is strengthening through the end of the year. You would expect to see these sort of numbers around October, November, December, when you're reaching the peak of the event. To get this when we're in the weakening part of El Nino, really quite unusual. And again, we see it on the 23rd of February, -46, the 24th, -34. The latest number on the 26th from the SOI comes out at -28. Whilst we're getting these very, very negative numbers for the Southern Oscillation Index, we're going to struggle to go to a cold event, most definitely, and we're going to struggle actually to come out of El Nino. So we've got to be watching the SOI to see whether we start to lose, not just lose these very negative numbers, but move towards positive numbers. That's what we're going to be looking for to get a La Nina. We've got to get positive numbers. At the moment, we're going completely the other way. And we can see this actually, if we go back just a second, let's go back and have a look at some of the sea surface temperature anomalies from earlier in February. So we can go back to the 1st of February just here. That didn't quite work out. Let's try it again. We can go back to the 1st of February just there. There you go. This is from the 1st of February. And we can see how strong the El Nino was then. If we have a look at the latest chart again, from the 25th of February, whilst it has been a little bit of weakening taking place, not a great deal, really. This is still a very strong El Nino event that's going on even to the end of February. As I say, whilst getting such negativity of the SOI, we are going to struggle. We're going to struggle to get into a cold event at the very least. At this point in 2007, now there is this connection between years that very rapidly flip from El Nino to La Nina. I spoke about this in an update, but I think back in January, just setting the scene for the summer. There is a connection between years that have a very rapid flip from El Nino to La Nina, that the summers tend to be pretty poor. And one of the best examples of this is 2007. You remember it was a horrendous summer with just flooding rains. It started at the end of May and it didn't stop until the middle of August. In June and July of 2007 were absolutely atrocious. We had an El Nino in the winter of 2006-2007, if we go back to this chart, you can see the El Nino of 2006-2007 just here. It's a pretty weak one, only just made the threshold, really, but there was an El Nino through the winter of 2006-2007. But then as we came out of that, we had this really quick flip into La Nina. So at this point, in 2007, at the end of February, we was already starting to get some blue colours, some cold sea surface temperature lines beginning to appear across the equatorial Pacific just here. Notice how cold it's looking down here and also up here as well, very cold. So you can see that pincer movement that I was talking about. We've got cold waters or cold anomalies coming up from here. We've got cold anomalies coming down from here, and it just collapsed the El Nino very, very quickly. Already by February, El Nino was beginning to collapse and beginning to reflect that La Nina signature. And by the summer of 2007, whilst we were having those horrendous floods, this is how things were looking in the equatorial Pacific, very much in a La Nina setup by then. A real La Nina was starting to get going. So again, no sign of this at the moment. Come back to the latest chart. No sign of anything that dramatic taking place yet. So there's no sign that we're flipping to La Nina at this stage. But we've got to be watching out to see whether this quick flip does occur or whether we just go back into ENSO neutral type conditions. Let's have a look at some models. This is CFS V2, and this is how it's seeing things developing through region 3.4. That's really the central part of the equatorial Pacific. This is region 3.4 just here, and then we've got region 1 and 2, which is over here. So for 3.4, that central part of the equatorial Pacific, we don't see a forecast for La Nina. This is where we are right now. I can show you where we are just at this moment, and we're just here. So quite clearly we're in a cooling phase. This was the peak around here. We are cooling down. We're going to trend downwards, as you would expect, into the spring. This is April, this is July, this is October. The trend is down, but crucially it's only down into weak El Nino or ENSO neutral. These are the temperatures just here. So we go down into that sort of area with the trend line, which is the black dashed line. To go down to La Nina, to go down to a cold event, you would need to be seeing that trend line doing something like that, or maybe even something like this, very dramatic plunge. There's no sign of that yet. It's early days, it's only February, but to be saying that the model is predicting La Nina, we do need it to be moving down into negative territory, down to -1 and below. If we have a look at the regions 1 and 2, so that's closer to the Peruvian coast, that is going into a weak La Nina type territory. So you can see again where we are right now is just here, and you can see if we go down to just there, by the summer we are expecting to be moving down into just weak La Nina territory. No sign of a strong La Nina, but going down towards weak La Nina in region 1 and 2. But until we see 3.4 going down to negative territory, we can't say that the model is going for a cold event. What about the ECMWF? And that's trending down as well. So quite clearly, all models are in agreement that we're going down to ENSO neutral, and this is where the plume is. So the centre of the plume is probably seeing things going down just into neutral territory along this line just here. But quite clearly we're leaving El Nino behind. This is where we are right now. Quite clearly we're leaving El Nino behind through the spring. The dates are on the bottom of the charts again, of course. I think really between the lines of this ensemble plume, probably the ECMWF is trending towards La Nina. I think it's going towards weak La Nina by the summer, and we can't go on into the autumn. That's those not just there. But if we could, I suspect from where it's seeing things to be in June, July, and August, I expect through the autumn it will trend down even further. So I think the ECMWF is trending towards La Nina, towards a cold event, the CFS V2 not so much. And finally, Jamstech IOD. This has been the most consistent. The Jamstech model has been most consistent with the idea that we're going to go from El Nino to La Nina. It's still doing it. So the red line here is the forecast trend line. You can see it's down all the way from where we are right now. This is where we are just here, and it's down so that by the summer, by July, we're going into negative territory. By the end of the year, this is January 2017, just here, by then we are firmly down into a La Nina. It's only a weak La Nina, not a strong La Nina being forecast at this point, but quite clearly into negative territory with that red trend line. And interestingly, that continues throughout 2017. We can even go out to 2018 with this. This is January 2018, just here, and quite clearly 2017 very much being seen by the Jamstech model to be a La Nina year. We keep into just weak La Nina, but La Nina condition throughout the whole of 2017 with Jamstech. That's the most bullish that we see in terms of the cold event. The ECWF, I think it is trending out of El Nino and into La Nina through the summer, into the autumn. And the CFS V2 very much on the fence, I think, whilst 1 and 2, close to that Peruvian coast, does sort of dip closely in towards weak La Nina. 3.4, not so much. So a bit of mixed bag, but I think still the trend of these models is to shift more towards La Nina through the summer. This is important for us because if we get a quick flip to La Nina, it spells bad news for the summer probably. If we don't flip quickly, if we just go into ENSO neutral, which is really what the CFS V2 is doing, if we only go back to ENSO neutral through the summer, it could be game on for a hot summer. So I'll be keeping you updated with the summer updates from next month, of course. Actually, I'll have a quick sneak peek of that tomorrow. More on that on my Twitter and Facebook pages. But coming back to wrapping it all up there at this ENSO update, I've gone on for far too long. So we are continuing to weaken El Nino. We reached a peak at the end of 2015, so that is gone. We're continuing to weaken this El Nino, but it's a very slow process, and we're still getting a lot of negativity of the SOI, which means the atmosphere is still in a reflective state of this El Nino. Whilst that remains the case, we're going to struggle to come out of El Nino, never mind to go to neutral or La Nina. The trend of the models, however, despite the CFS V2 being a bit on the fence, the trend of the models, particularly ECM and the Jamstech, is to move towards a cold event, a La Nina, through the summer and into the autumn. That's where things are standing right now. We'll do the third update of 2016 at the end of March. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.